I know it's like the last panel in this week's chapter, but I figured this is probably the most important thing that happened in the entire chapter, so I should make sure everybody knows about it as soon as possible. So, this is yeah. Hello, internets. I am the hero of Julios once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1131, Loki in the Underworld. Our art for this week is the continuation of Yamato's cover story because Yamato and Otama and Horse Lena, otherwise known as Speed, are currently heading off to get this, the sword thief. They also, Komuichi? I'll put the right spelling down for his name. Otama's giant dog. But anyways, they are heading off after the sword thief because kidnapped people? Nah, not that important. A kidnapped carpenter? Nah, probably not that important. There was a bandit trying to abduct someone? Ah, not that important. Sword goes missing? Oh, suddenly this is now the most important thing in the world. I'm going to accuse Yamato of a little bit of selfishness here. You have literally been imprisoned your entire life, or at least a good chunk of it, and now you hear other people are being kidnapped, and your reaction was to go take a nap. I get it, you're not the guardian deity of Wano. You didn't want that devil fruit, you just kinda ate it. But, you got the power, you're doing the thing, you're doing a vassal's journey to be like Lord Odin. Did you also decide to go through Odin's selfish phase too? So yeah, Yamato's gonna go get the sword back and hopefully learn a lesson about what it means to really be like Kozuki Odin, where at the end of his journey, he learned to be the selfless hero of Wano, rather than the selfish prince who kind of just messed around with his buddies. The chapter itself starts off with Loki laughing as Luffy's cheering because Luffy's like, oh my gosh, we are finally in Elbaf. We have been waiting years to go to Elbaf. We have been waiting years to go to Elbaf. Luffy's not talking about himself. He's literally talking in the place of the audience here. We're done. We are finally done waiting. We are in Elbaf and we're confirming it. And as Luffy is like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Oh, Usopp should be really excited about this. Oh my gosh, what about those giants over there? Is everything here giant? What about the food? Oh, are the monsters giant? Is there a lot of snow? Is the snow giant? And Loki's sitting there watching this guy geek out on Elbaf, and he's like, hey buddy, sir, kid, a guy, hey, I'm talking to you. And Luffy's like, oh, go on. He's like, thank you. I am the sun god who was sealed away against this mighty tree, the jewel tree Adam. That's right, the giant tree that makes up Elbaf. I assume it'll also be called Yggdrasil, but it has another name. This is the jewel tree Adam. This is the tree that was in a distant land of war. No matter how much the wars went on, the tree stood firm. That distant warland was Elbaf. Which actually makes a lot of sense when you say it like that. But this is the same tree where Frankie spent 200 million berries in order to buy the wood needed to build the Thousand Sunny. So it's kind of poetic that the ship made of this wood has finally returned to its homeland. This arc is about the Thousand Sunny! So as Loki finally has this brief moment of Luffy's attention, he asks, Little Pirate Man, what do you think of my situation? Luffy's response is, you're chained up. And really not much else to say about it. And he says, very observant of you. But do you know why I'm chained up here? For I am the sun god, the most powerful being of all the realms, and I have been chained to this tree for 6 years, which kind of doesn't make sense. I thought the reason why Haruden and the others couldn't leave Elbaf to go help Luffy was because they all had to stay behind to stop Loki. Either we have a weird perception of time here, or Loki was lying, or it's only the old timers are allowed to leave the island permanently, because if X amount of giants are not on the island at any given moment, it's too much of a risk for Loki to get free. So I'm hoping that gets explained in greater detail. But as Loki is explaining this, he says we are in the lowest level of Elbaf. We are in the underworld. So yes, it's going to follow Norse mythology. Yes, I need to do some more research on that so I know what I'm getting into. But we are in the lowest level, the underworld. And as we are in the lowest level, the underworld, Loki introduces us to the beasts. These giant monsters that roam the underworld, allowing just carnage and chaos to exist. The punished humans who have been sent down below here wear rotted meats in order to disgust the beasts so that they do not eat them. And if you look beneath the snow, you will find human and giant bones alike. But I, Loki, rule over them. These giant monsters when I was a boy were my dear friends. And these humans, they are my smelly kind of people who live in my basement, I guess. And the humans are like, hey, it's a little insulting, Loki. You know, we didn't come over here to talk to you to be insulted. You know, it's bad enough that Shanks guy showed up. Meanwhile, soon as they say Shanks, Luffy's like, Shanks? You guys talking to Shanks? And you zoom out to see Luffy is on the palm of this giant gorilla. And all the other animals are around, and they just love Luffy. Because Luffy, upon seeing these giant monsters, immediately said, oh man, this takes me back. That's because Luffy trained for 2 years on Ruskaina, an island kind of similar to the hellish landscape that Loki is describing. As Luffy trained for those 2 years, he befriended all the animals on the island. Some he ate because, you know, Luffy gotta eat. But the ones he befriended became his allies, and he didn't eat them. In fact, Luffy got really good at taming... Luffy's really good at taming wild animals, actually. So as Luffy brings up Shanks and is like, oh my gosh, you know Shanks, how do you know him? And Loki, trying to get Luffy's attention, is like, oh, I see a connection here. Oh yes, I do know Shanks. He is a cowardly pirate who is... Oh my god. And before he could even finish that sentence of insulting Shanks, Luffy goes gear forth and tries to kill him. Luffy just punches with a Kong gun, point blank range. Loki barely dodges out of the way, kind of confirming that Loki might have hockey. But Loki dodges out of the way just in time. Luffy, you know, is gonna go punch him again, and he's like, I was joking, it was a joke, and Luffy deflates back down, and he says, hey, even as a joke, don't insult Shanks, okay? That's, it's right up here on things Luffy doesn't like, probably right below insulting his own crew. Well, anyways, Loki says, yeah, sure, noted, I guess, but anyways, yeah, Shanks and I spoke. He came down here, and yeah, I know Shanks. So Loki tells Luffy, of course I know Shanks, of course I know why he was here, I'll even tell you what we talked about, but I'm not gonna do it for free. And we cut away from that. So we're getting closer and closer to Loki getting freed by Luffy. I don't know, after this initial conversation of Loki just being like, hey, kid, pay attention while I'm talking, I'm starting to get vibes of more of Loki might not be such a bad guy. He might still be a villain, but I think he's going to be one of those villains we kind of end up liking, like kind of like a Buggy situation. Not in terms of like falling upward, but in terms of like more people like Buggy than hate Buggy as far as the community goes. Or I might be completely wrong, and Loki's actually just super evil and manipulative, true to the Norse mythology he comes from. But as Luffy and Loki discuss, the top of the bridge, the crew is still walking across it because it's a giant bridge, only to find it has begun shaking. They turn around and they see Road coming towards them. His helmet his skull helmet thing is no longer on, and they don't recognize him, but they can tell he's been charred. And behind him, they see the giant woman, and the chubby one, as they called him, which, how dare you do that? We are Goldberg fans in this household, but They are running towards him. Goldberg is holding the Thousand Sunny above his head, and they are all chasing after the Straw Hat crew. Naturally, the Straw Hat crew sees this as, oh no, we're in trouble, we gotta get moving, they have our ship, we'll worry about that later. This is just a misunderstanding of, wait, we want to meet you guys, and because... we do see in the next panel Haruden and Stanson. They are currently capturing a beast to prepare its meat for Luffy because they know the Straw Hat crew's here. So it's probably more of a case of, hey, Road captured the Straw Hats like an idiot. Let's go bop his head, and then we'll get this misunderstanding settled. Unfortunately, it's still a misunderstanding right now, so that's how we get all the pieces on the board moving. Speaking of Haruden, him and Stanson have caught this giant beast. They're going to prepare its meat for Luffy to eat, as well as the rest of his crew. But they discuss how to carry it, and Stanson brings up an interesting point. This thing's pretty heavy, and we can't really carry it with a painter because the sunstones don't work when it's snowing. I don't know what a painter is. Maybe I'm reading the word wrong. Maybe it's pronounced like panter or something. Or painter? Whatever it is. I'm guessing it's some kind of like hover disc or maybe like a cart or something of that nature. And implying being powered by sunstones, it's probably a solar-powered stone that transfers energy. It doesn't work because the clouds are covering the sun. We're getting a big sun god theme here, so keep that in mind as we go about this place. But Haruden just tells him to man up. We're going to carry the beast together. And Oda, I love when he does this, Oda provides a lovely little depiction of who the heck is this guy. Because remember, kids, it's been hundreds of chapters since we last saw Haruden. And it does explain. It says Luffy helped Haruden in Dressrosa. He almost became a toy and a slave to Doflamingo forever, but Luffy saved him. Here's a little chart of the new giant warrior pirates, so you know what those guys look like and where they are on the crew. It's a nice little refresher as we are, again, getting all the pieces on the board together. Finally, we cut back to the old giant warrior pirates with Dory and Broggy and the older members of the Straw Hat crew, and they are getting ready to make landfall. You actually see the mist is clearing, the Elbaf is up ahead, and Robin is preparing to reunite with Saul. She is preparing to reunite with Saul by also making sure she kind of looks like she did when they last met, when she was 8 years old. She has Brook cut her hair, which is very sweet. And Brook even admits how nervous he was because he hasn't cut a woman's hair before. He only cuts men's hair, or I guess he maybe cut his crew member's hair or his own afro back when when his afro used to grow. But the important thing here is Brook did a fantastic job, and Robin has her bangs back. I know this is silly talk of just it's me gushing about Robin. I'm sorry. Robin is smart, she's tall, she's pretty, she kind of just checks off all my boxes as far as fictional characters go. Let me tell you ladies, if you look like this, I will fold immediately. But what I'm getting at here is she is preparing to meet Saul again, and that is absolutely wonderful. Unfortunately, Oda loves his cliffhangers, and we cut back to Elbaf very briefly with someone saying, "Quick, someone get help, it's Dr. Saul. He has fallen and he won't get up." Not can't get up. Won't get up. If Saul... He won't. No, Oda wouldn't do that. That's too tragic. But this may be an opportunity for Chopper to really shine as a doctor. There might be something that happens to Saul that Chopper can cure or Chopper can handle. I'm kind of hoping that's the route Oda goes with this, because I'm hoping we're getting a more Straw Hat-centric arc. We have Usopp finally in Elbaf. We have Luffy. We have Luffy and Loki together in Hell together. We got Zoro, Sanji, and Nami kind of have opportunities for character moments right now, but most importantly, we have the reunification of Robin and Saul, and we have Frankie literally walking around with Dr. Vegapunk next to him. This is some opportunities for the Straw Hat crew to get some real interesting moments in, and I am very much looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. So, let me know in the comments below, with or without bangs, which do you prefer the way Robin, do you like that she's going back to her old look? Do you want her to go back to the way she looked, you know, with her post-time skip, post-new, or pre-new Brooke haircut style? Oh, and also maybe mention what you feel about the rest of the chapter, because I guess that stuff's kind of important too. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, axing out.